Good evening and welcome
Good
to
evening.
RWN-TV. I'm Chara and Tappin McCabe, and joining me tonight and every Tuesday night is my illustrious co-host, Reggie Kearney. Reggie, how are you this evening?
Fine. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm just, doing some research on readiness for tonight's topic, looking at mass shootings in this country. And it looks like we're up for another cycle of madness. And there's just so much wrong in this country. So many problems that we have to address, battles we have to fight simultaneously, and it's exhausting. And I'm glad that we no longer have to deal with the albatross that was Trump and the administration, so that we can at least hope for some common sense reactions from the White House. But there's just something deeply wrong with this country. And I figure we were going to start tonight's show and, like last week, talk about a number of these sort of hot topics that have come up over the course of the last week. And I suppose we may as well start with the two mass shootings that we've had over the course of the last week. I think they're still investigating the one that took place in Boulder. But from what I heard on the news this afternoon, the gentleman was antisocial. He felt he was being bullied because he was Muslim. But I don't know if that in and of itself had anything to do with the shooting. Clearly, the man was not mentally well. But I don't think that I think this was a hate crime in terms of general hate, not a hate crime in terms of any particular group. What are your thoughts on the Boulder shooting?
Very sad, very sad. He used a AR-15.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't said when he purchased it, but we need better gun laws, but we're not going to get them. So we can hang that up. I mean, Biden was talking on TV today about how we need to, change the laws as far as background checks. I mean, he might well just keep that to himself. I know he's doing it because he's president, but the Republicans are determined not to do anything as far as gun laws are concerned. Now, one of the things, if we do expanded background checks, will we identify a person who's having a mental breakdown? I doubt it.
Look, all we need to do, if we stop one person, the law was worth it.
Yeah,
but one person can shoot upwards of 20 people, as we have seen.
Yeah, but the thing is, when that young man purchased that assault rifle, the salesperson isn't trained or can't look into the man's soul and see what he's going to do with the gun. That's the whole problem. I mean, I can go out here and buy a gun, and 2 years from now decide I want to blow away by a couple of people. The thing is, you just don't know what a person is going to do with a gun. So the only way you can do sensible gun laws is to just outlaw guns altogether, but you can't do that because of the Second Amendment. So you can't do that. I just don't. I mean, I'm at wit's end. I think this is going to be an ongoing problem. It's going to be a continuing problem. I don't know what else there is to
it. There's something so wrong with putting aside common sense gun legislation, which I support. Nobody's coming to your homes to take your guns. Nobody's necessarily going to blanket deny people their Second Amendment rights. I do agree with extended background checks. So you shouldn't be able to go to a store, buy a gun, and leave with it that day. I do agree with people who have been charged with domestic battery and abuse, etc. I do think that there are some lists of people who should not have access to guns legally. But that said, if we were to take that out of the equation for a moment, there seems to be something deeply wrong with people, and that they have not ever seemed to develop any kind of coping mechanisms to deal with their life trauma, whatever that is. If they were bullied or if they didn't get what they want, or they felt entitled to something, that these folks feel like taking a gun and shooting strangers who weren't even the people necessarily directly involved with whatever offended you in your life, and just killing people, that is the answer. Uh, yes, we need common sense legislation, but we need something else. And, if I were Christian, I would say maybe it's more church. But we need something. I mean, you have other countries where they have guns, as many as we do in this country, and they don't have as many mass shootings as we do. What is the difference? Is it cultural? Is it some part of the American psyche, the sense of entitlement that we have? I mean, it's above my pay grade to figure that out, but there's got to be multiple angles that we can attack this from. Yes, obviously we need stronger education, better opportunities for people, but it's not poor, disenfranchised people that are going out and doing mass shootings. At least that is not the driving factor in what causes them to do it. More often than not, it's either some form of ism, whether they hate women or they hate people of color or they hate somebody, or they are mentally ill. So I think that whatever we've been doing clearly isn't working. We need to find another solution.
But that solution won't work. I mean,
we don't know what the solution is. We haven't found it.
Okay, but look, Sharon. Okay, we going off because someone goes out and wipes out 10 people at a time. Okay, a mass shooting. What about the community shootings? Okay, that take place in our neighborhoods every night, whether it be a white person killing someone or a black person killing someone. Okay, across the board, there's issues. Okay, when you get into the cities, these young guys are able to purchase guns illegally, okay? In D.C., over the weekend, a guy was going to a gender reveal party, and they showed it on TV. He gets out of his car, he's standing outside on the sidewalk talking to some people, and bang, 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 he's gone. He's dead, okay? I don't know if y'all had a problem in New York. Well, yeah, yes, y'all do, because somebody got beat up for trying to run over a motorcycle ride. But down here, we had the same problem with guys on motorcycles and ATVs blocking traffic. Well, it gets irritating. I know sometimes I rode up on them and I'm ready to run right over them, okay?
But you don't.
I don't. But a guy did try to do it, okay? He tried to push his way through the crowd and everything.
Again, we have anger issues in this country.
But listen, this is what the guy did on the ATV. He pulls out a gun and starts following the guy and shooting into his car. And so whether it's a single shooting or a mass shooting, we have a gun issue in this country.
100%.
And the way the Senate, okay, Congress, the House can pass a gun bill, okay, and if they get it through. But when it gets to the Senate, that bill will need 60 votes, okay, unless they get rid of the filibuster. What's going to come out of this bill? Nothing, because Republicans and probably two of the Democrats, conservative Democrats, aren't going to let it pass. They don't want gun laws, because the first thing Ted Cruz said today, if you have enhanced gun laws, you're hurting the person, the good citizen, to protect themselves. Nobody's saying take the guns away from them. We're saying you got to do a deeper background check on these people.
Exactly, and Ted Cruz knows exactly what he's saying. And ending that comment with thoughts and prayers and all of that nonsense. I'm sorry. Yes. Thoughts and prayers are great, but they do nothing to solve the problem. And until one of his kids, God forbid, gets stuck in a mass shooting situation, we're not going to see any change of tune from him. But what's really, really disgusting to me right now is the Republicans are sort of taking, as they often do, right? They take the language of social justice. They take the hymns from the black protesters, and they flip the script, and then they try to use that language for themselves. So right now, they're using the argument, they're shifting their argument, and now saying that gun control measures are racist because they will negatively impact people of color in those communities. And I'm like you give two shits about people of color in those communities having guns or gun rights. It's so fallacious. It's really disgusting. And on the face of it, I support the Second Amendment. I don't mind going to a shooting range once in a while, getting some practice in. But to use that argument when you know that these guys are racist to begin with and don't care about people of color owning guns, don't care about Asian Americans owning guns, we know that they get a shit ton of money from gun lobbyists, right? And I don't know what's happening with the NRA right now. I think they closed their location in New York City. They were going bankrupt or something like that. But they have entirely too much power. And I think that all of these elected officials must get money hand over fist from these groups to be able to twist their logic the way they do. I mean, we've heard about good people with guns shooting people by mistake and killing them.
But the gun lobby is a very strong lobby, and they, like you said, they contribute a lot of money to these candidates. So it's hard to push back on them, okay? Because they're not going to live. Because all they think about is that somebody's going to run in the house once these gun laws are passed or enhanced and take their guns. That's all they think about. That's all they think about.
It didn't happen in 1994 when they had common sense legislation and they had a law against people owning AK-47s or AR-47s, whatever it is. And we had fewer mass shootings then. You know, I mean, if you look online, the number of mass shootings that we've had, was it in 2020? There were 28 in January, 28 in February, 26. I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. And that they don't see this as a problem?
Well, like I said, a shooting of any kind is not good, whether it's single or mass, okay?
Of course.
You look at England, England, the police officers don't carry guns, okay? They have specialized teams. If they need someone with a gun, they can call in specialized teams to take someone down if they need to, okay? So London, England has been programmed to understand, there's not going to be a lot of civilian usage of guns. You take Switzerland and Sweden, they have sensible gun laws, okay? And that crime rate is down. They don't have people killing each other.
But the psychology of people in those countries is very different than we are.
Right, but you got to understand, these people grew up understanding what the gun laws were, and they respected it. Okay, here in America, they have the Western cowboy show. Yeah, to make their masculinity grow stronger. Okay, now if you go into any state where they have open carry, you see these guys walking around with guns on their belt, thinking they John Wayne or something. Okay, that's that mentality. Okay, so it's all about masculinity. Oh, I got a gun on my side, on my hip. No one's going to bother me. No one's going to challenge me because they see this gun. So I think here in America, the whole idea of carrying a gun is masculinity. Okay, that's what it basically boils down to. So you got the criminals that have guns, and you got the so-called people who have permits, or the state allows open carry that have guns. And it's out of control. I mean, it's just really, really out of control.
Well, we definitely have a mental health crisis in this country on multiple levels. Your average Joe can't handle rejection. They can't handle being told no. They feel entitled to lash out when they don't get what they want. This guy's claiming he had a sex addiction, therefore he went into 3 salons and shot people. That's the most asinine, privileged, ridiculous excuse I have ever heard.
I was reading some authors on it. It's a valid reason, but
valid for killing people?
No. Listen, read your news while you're on the computer, read about it, okay? It's a valid reason, but the part they leave off, it still is a gateway to racism, okay? To a racist act, okay? They call it sexual racism, okay? He knew exactly what he was doing. If he was so bothered by the simple fact that these women had messed him up sexually, okay, why didn't he go kill white women? Okay?
Yeah, no, clearly he fetishized Asian women wasn't
But
getting what he
it's
wanted.
not so much as fetishizing them. He killed someone of color. Okay, so the hate was still there for another person of color, another foreigner, or another ethnic background, ethnic cultural. That's what it was all about. Okay, that's why I say if it wasn't about race, why if it wasn't him about hitting a certain ethnic group, why didn't he go kill white women? He didn't. He picked out a certain ethnic group to
Well,
go and
I
kill.
think a couple of white people were killed who were there.
Yeah, but because he was randomly shooting, okay. But they were Asian spas that he picked out, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So he has that sense. He had hatred in his heart, okay. It was a hate crime. Let me tell you something. When a white person does something, you saw the sheriff the captain of the sheriff's department, how he said the guy was having a bad day that day. I guess he had a real bad day. You see the difference in how they treat a white person who does something crazy versus a black person or a person of color that does something, okay?
100%.
Now, when they ran this guy off the road, they gently went and got him out, probably took him to Popeye's chicken, got him dinner, okay?
Same thing with the guy in Boulder.
Yeah, if it had been a black person, they would have ran him off the road, or if it had been in Boulder, they would have killed him in the store. They would have killed him off the road. They would have killed him in the store, okay? That's the police officer's mentality when it comes to people of color.
Of course, because people of color are seen as irredeemable. We don't get bad days. We're broken. We're irredeemable. It doesn't matter, But,
it's like, and I don't know if you've been watching the last couple of days on TV. It's like Washington is trying to become, D.C. is trying to become the 51st state. And you listen to those white Republican congressmen and senators, you listen to their reasoning on why D.C. shouldn't become the 51st state. It's because of racism. The comments they make are racist comments. And like I said, they on the scale, they would be like between the 5 smallest states, they would be in the middle. Okay? Only 2 states has more people than Washington does. That's North and South Dakota. And the bottom states, I believe, are Vermont and Maine. Okay? It's too much control. But they don't want, the problem is, they say it's about the city being Democratic. So what? There are a lot of states that are Republican. We're not fussing about that. Mm-hmm. It's about black people having control.
Well, if that happens, then I can see them trying to regain their numbers by supporting Puerto Rico finally becoming a state, if that's what Puerto Rico wants, and trying to turn them into Republican.
But they're not. I mean,
well, no, but if we got DC, I could see them trying to do that.
Yeah, but one senator suggested that because Washington doesn't have an airport, Washington doesn't have automobile car dealerships, which they do, and a lot of other things.
What does that have to do with it?
Well, he's saying that if they don't have certain amenities, they shouldn't become a state. They're using all kinds of reasons. And some of them have just straight out said that, look, y'all can't run your own business, okay? So racism plays a lot into it, And the thing is, look, if Washington becomes a state and they get 2 senators, that means Republicans got to go out and work just that much harder to try to regain control of the Senate. I mean, that's all that is. You work to earn your vote. That just gives you an incentive to go out and work harder, But it's 46% black, is 30-some% white, and the numbers don't mix right. Okay, So
yeah. Well, I don't know if they'll work harder or grift harder, but they'll do something for certain.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So here we are again on the gun control roller coaster. And I'm sure by tomorrow morning, we'll start to see some right-wing rag sheets calling these red flags. Mm-hmm. Because, after Trump lost the election, some of them were already saying, look, within the first 3 months of Biden's election, I guarantee you there's going to be a red flag, false, what do they call it? Fake, what do they call these things? false flag, fake event, or whatever.
Fake event. That was not a fake event.
To push the anti-gun agenda.
And
it's just really disgusting to see so many elected officials who know what the proposed laws are, who know no one's talking about taking their guns out of their household, are doing this simply because of the money that they're getting from the lobbyists. There's no other reason. They don't want you to have an AR-47. They certainly don't want me to have that.
You know, you were saying that there are problems in this country. There are the ideological problems in this country. The country is just split. I mean, hey, call it for what you want to call it. You know, it's split. You know, maybe it may only be 10 blue states and the rest of the 40 red states, but ideologically we are split, and it's never going to change. I mean, it is what it is.
But I think it's more than that. We're more than split. We're more than racially polarized. I mean, we've got, as a country, we probably all suffer from some variation of PTSD. There's always some ism in our backyard fucking with us. Pardon me, I'm channeling my inner breed love here. But, you know, as a woman of color, as a woman under a certain age, living in a city, you know, there's just always something. Now you've got, you know, the misogyny, you know, resurgence of misogyny with these incel guys. Some of them are in elected, you know, official positions. It's just, there seems to be no safe haven psychologically. And while getting Trump out of office was a psychic boon, I do feel just a smidgen less stressed. I don't have to worry about somebody's finger on the red button, if you will. But there is something psychologically wrong or spiritually wrong. The root is rotted, and it's all sort of been coming out now over the last, I'd say, 20 years in rapid succession, and it just seems to be getting worse.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to another Republican today. And I mean, we both agree that it's messed up. The whole system is messed up. But the problem is you can't start all over again. You can't go back to 1776 and start from scratch and rebuild a nation. You can't do that. You can maybe work on the foundation, but do the people have the stomach? And when I say the people, the politicians, to come together and say, look, we got to do better. Okay. You know, and that's the whole thing. No party is willing to work with the other party. Okay, it's like Republicans gonna stick together, Democrats gonna stick together, and that's how this country is being ran. And it's a shame that we can't get back to, the good old days where there was respect. You know, you could go and sit in the Senate all day long, but still go out to dinner with one of your Republican friends. You know, those days are gone. It's like cutthroat now. It's just
you know, I agree with you 100%. You know, when you consider our history as a country to other countries, we are still in our infancy. And I get goosebumps whenever I think about that, because I think when you think about the growing pains that other countries have gone through, whether it was changing regimes, new monarchies, upheaval, uprisals, civil unrest, yada yada. I feel as though how do I phrase this? Because we're still evolving as a country, we still have a lot of those other steps to go through before we can get to the appearance of the degree of stability that some of these other countries have, which is a very scary thought. Because if we were to actually have a full-blown revolution now, it would be so bloody. I mean, if you look at the Civil War and look at the weapons that we have at our disposal now, that kind of unrest in this country now would be horrific.
We have that. We have a revolutionary war going on right now. It's just a standoff because people are scared to really pull the trigger. Okay. Now, I was looking at the news over the weekend, and they were talking to Bundy, and he is still pushing this thing where people have the right to basically tell the federal government to kiss off, okay? He still is pushing that whole idea of states' rights and everything. So you have people out in the upper Midwest that really believe that what this knucklehead is saying is the right way to go. So then you got the white militias out there, you know, the three boys or the 3%ers or whoever they call themselves. They're out there, you know. I think the whole thing has come down to the point where who wants to really pull the trigger? I think you're always going to have rhetoric. You're always going to have it, even if the orange head doesn't run for president again. You're always going to have that rhetoric because the foundation has been laid for that rhetoric, you know. So how do we get around it? You know, it's so bad that the European countries are bothered by the way the United States is acting because you have Europeans acting the same way now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being racist, being outspoken into the government. If you watch the weekend news, they were actually beating up the cops in London during a protest. I mean, they were actually, they know they can't defend themselves unless they use their nightsticks, but they were actually had surrounded them. They were throwing things at them and fighting them because the anti-vaccine people said, look, why is the country on lockdown? We don't want the vaccine. You know, where's our freedom at to decide? So what they do, they're going to fight the police officers. I mean, but where did they get those ideas from? The United States, okay? You know, that's where those pictures are coming from. You know, and so the whole world foundation is broken right now. You know, the little fat boy in North Korea has told Biden to just take a nap. He needs to sleep for 4 years. You know, I mean, it's crazy. You know,
it's crazy and it's downright depressing. You know, there were, let's see here, what do we have here? 26 school shootings between, let's see here, between, what is this? 1949 and 2021, 26 school shootings. And so you had 58, 49, 32, 27, 26 deaths at each of these. Most of these shootings happened in the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know, what I am always curious, and I ask myself, what is the threshold for the right? What is the benchmark or the threshold for those people who are rabid supporters of Second Amendment right and anti any common sense legislation? What, you know, at what point is it when their family's been impacted? At what point is enough enough? You know,
they don't care.
Now you look at that to kind of sideline into one of our other subjects, and we look at state responses to COVID. You would swear that this government is out to kill us. On the one hand, you've got representatives who are anti-common sense legislation, not even talking about taking people's guns away, just common sense legislation to protect against people who should not have guns, getting them legally. And you've got states like Texas who had that debacle of a response to the snowstorm, and then to distract from that, say, okay, COVID's not a problem anymore, you can open up again, no masks. You have Miami Beach on a state of emergency because of the influx of all of the spring breakers. You've got several states now backpedaling their phased opening because they've had a resurgence. Florida's got a resurgence of a variant. I think they're the highest variants in the country now.
The UK variant.
Well, no, there's now a New York variant. There's like 600 different variants of this thing out there.
But the Florida is carrying a strong UK variant, which is which is more deadly and it's easy to spread. That's why they were trying to come. Look, that's what they said was the reason for they coming down on the college students in Miami Beach. Now, one thing I do agree, these kids should have had masks on, okay? But Florida, the little governor down there, the little mini-me, he said they don't need masks, okay? But secondly, if you look at the way they treated the college students this week versus last week, it was all racism. Because this week was HBCU spring break, okay? Now, did they get a little rowdy? Yeah, they did. Did they get rowdy enough for them to bring the SWAT team in and deal with it? No. They didn't say nothing to the white kids the week before last. So again, you have color playing into it.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the COVID-19 vaccine being dispersed. You have a lot of people in our neighborhoods of color, they don't want the vaccine.
Well, I don't blame them. When you look at the history of this country, testing out medicine and various procedures on people of color with and without their approval, what they are reportedly doing to immigrants at the border and Native Americans throughout our history with involuntary sterilization. You've got the Tuskegee experiment, the syphilis experiment. The birth control experiment on Operation Bootstrap in Puerto Rico, experiments in Mexico. They've always used our people for experimental purposes. So I understand the hesitancy to want to get the vaccination. And honestly, the only reason I would get the vaccination right now is so I could see my father, who's in a nursing home. I haven't hugged him in a year, and I can't really tolerate that. But this country doesn't have a really good history when it comes to rolling out vaccinations. So I get that.
I'm taking both shots. Today, my daughter took it. My wife is taking it tomorrow. A lot of my family members are taking it. A lot of my friends, I look at it this way: be damned if you do, be damned if you don't. Okay. Mm-hmm. At my age, I'm going out one way or the other. So, but I don't want to go out with the daggone virus. Okay.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
That's how
fortunately, you've had your children. Your story will continue.
Yeah, I got people,
rub it in. Go ahead.
Yeah. So,
but I think people who haven't had children yet might be concerned.
Yeah, I think the only thing is that's a chance you got to take. Completely blown off. I was listening to in one of the counties. I was listening to the health the person responsible for the health department, the head of the health department, and she was saying that now here in Maryland there should be a better distribution of vaccine now, because what's happening now is that people are not showing up for the vaccinations now. They apply, they get registered, and I guess at the last moment they say they don't want it. So now you got counties that have stockpile of vaccine, and you have counties that don't have enough, that they just need to do another distribution, because a lot of people are not even taking it. I don't think it's a color thing. I think it's a people thing.
Here in the city, what they've done, and that's in New York City, you have they've been rolling it out in stages in order to be able to handle the numbers that we have here. We have millions of people in New York City. Mm-hmm. So just a couple of days ago, they increased it to include people who are of the age of 50, including people who are in ground level, people, face-to-face in-person services. So I could get it now if I wanted to. And there are a couple of different ways. But something else that they're doing is that they've created wait lists. Knowing that people cancel at the last minute or don't show up, they don't want those vaccinations to go bad. So if you're not a part of any of the eligible classes, you can get on a wait list, and then the pharmacy or whatever that location is will call you if there's been a cancellation. So about half the people that I know who've been vaccinated have gotten it from the wait lists.
Well, I think if we can get the country up to 80%, I think that'd be a good number. You can get back to some normalcy. The other 20%, they'll either get it and have antibodies, or they'll just get lucky and not get it. Because they said in order to get herd immunity, we're going to have to be right around 80%. So that solves it.
The problem, though, is they don't know how long this vaccination is going to work. Is it a one-time shot like measles, or are you going to have to do this again and again and again? And, when these other variants start to become more prevalent, will they protect against those as well? Yeah. So there are a lot of unanswered questions right now.
Well, they're saying you're going to have to get a booster shot after a year. I take the flu shot. We take the flu shot every year. Okay.
Speak for yourself. I've never had a flu shot.
Yeah, and I had, because when I had the flu about 5 or 6 years ago, I was on the floor under the bed and everything. And after that, I said, I'm going to get my flu shot every year. And for the last 6 years, I've just taken it because I had a bad case of the flu. I just didn't want to go through it no more. Knock on wood, I've been good. So, it's something that we probably going to have to deal with the rest of, rest of our lives. If not every year, maybe every other year, you're gonna have to take a booster shot just to maintain it. Because this virus is not going anywhere. It's here. It's worse than the flu, and you got countries now on lockdown again. So we don't know where the corner is, where we're gonna turn the corner, or what. We just don't know. It might be, and God forbid, it might be a worldwide breakdown just because we thought the vaccines were good, and all of a sudden we're all sick again. We are in a unknown flight pattern right now.
I think, and I don't know the science, and I admit this is a completely ignorant question because I am not a scientist or a doctor, but I have to wonder what this does to us as a human race. They say if you take too many antibiotics over the course of your life, at some point they stop working.
Yeah.
With the gazillion vaccinations that we now are in position to give ourselves, what is that doing to us genetically? What is that doing to future generations? I can't help but think about, and I'm not an anti-vaxxer necessarily, but when I look at what this country does in terms of vaccinations compared to other countries that don't have half as many, and I ask myself, you would think, given the number of vaccinations that this country gives and recommends, that all the other countries would be overrun with pandemics on an annual basis. But they're not giving this many vaccinations. So just something that doesn't seem quite right to me. So with respect to the COVID one, I'd be interested in seeing if all countries say that you need booster shots or if it's just America. Like if Sweden say you need booster shots, or let's pick a country that's successful, New Zealand. They were successful in combating the virus. If they don't say that a booster shot is necessary after getting the initial 2 or 1, depending on if you get the Pfizer or the Johnson & Johnson, then it begs a few questions. What did they get where it's only required that one time in 2020 or 2021, depending on when you got the shot, versus what we got when they tell us that we may need to get a booster shot? There's something about that, the little gremlin in the back of my head just screams population control.
Money. You're not even population control. Money.
And that.
Money. The more vaccine you make, the more money you make. And it's such a panic right now that countries are going to buy it. Okay, they're going to buy it. They're going to push it. Even if they don't push it, they're going to buy it just to have. Like they say, it's going to be the United States is going to have enough of a surplus after the first go round where they can start giving it to other nations. Okay. That's how much of a surplus they're going to have. Because we basically have cornered the market. And I think we are able to corner the market because everybody say, oh, they got the money. So let's get it. Let's get our money. Let's build our company up, So I don't know. We just, I don't know how long we're going to do this show. Maybe with 5 years from now, if we're still doing this show, we can look back on the night and say, okay, we sitting here, one ear hanging down,
face melted,
cross and everything. I don't know. Walking around with wings, I don't know. We'll know. I think in time, in the next 5 years, we'll know whether or not this virus was taken care of. But scientists say there are other pandemics to come. We have
absolutely.
We have messed up the world ecosystem. Okay, we have done it. I was reading an article about the year 2100. Which I probably won't be here unless they come up with another drug to.
The vaccine will keep you going. It's the preservative.
Another vaccine, but they said that summertime will be probably 6 months, 6 to 7 months will be your average summer.
Well, yeah, you can see it in real time. What's happening? Every year in the wintertime when people talk about the snow, and I'm like, this is nothing compared to what we used to get in the 70s and 80s. And
we have, and if the orange head had stayed in office that timeline probably could have been moved up by 50 years.
Well, that and something you said earlier about the pharmaceutical industry and money. And just another reason why I'm glad the Trump administration is done with, because I couldn't trust them to do the right thing. But that also causes some concerns if greedy pharmaceutical companies, and I think on some level we've always suspected this, but if anything, COVID showed us the windfall, monetarily speaking, that could pharmaceutical companies could benefit from if, say, a virus were released and they happen to get a jump start on creating and releasing the vaccination first. So considering how dirty companies have been playing over the last 20 years or so, it wouldn't surprise me if we go full dystopia and go in that direction. You know, we're already paying for water. Next, it'll be oxygen and what we need to survive on a daily basis to combat all of these things being introduced into our ecosystems. But you know,
very quickly, I want to touch back on the topic we talked about last week, was the Black Lives Movement and the money that accumulated. Did you see in the news where Tamara Rice told them to stop talking about her son whenever they are doing their pitch because they're profiting off their son? That money has opened up a lot of discussion and opened up a lot of wounds, because I think Tamara Rice's mother was correct. If they didn't have nothing to talk about, they wouldn't raise $90 million. Okay, it would never have happened. But they use all these killings to highlight the issues that are in the country, so people naturally give to the cause. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, I guess the parents look at, you know, if you're going to use my child's name to further the movement, then something needs to be done in my community. Maybe not give it to me, but do something in Cleveland that's going to uplift the Cleveland community, you know, stuff like that, you know. So it's opened up a big can of worms, you know.
I agree with that in principle. You know, when we first talked about this subject, I found it a little distasteful, particularly coming from the CEO of that other organization, who obviously wasn't as successful in fundraising. But, you know, I think like when you use anybody's image to raise money, oftentimes you have to pay back people. You know, like Trump, what he did with the Republican Party recently, saying, don't use my image or my name in your fundraising, right? So I think that, I mean, there's never any guarantee that a nonprofit is going to be as successful in raising money as Black Lives Matters was. And I don't think anybody predicted that. But I think that it would be wise to, and that's a hard conversation to have, especially on the heels of an event right after it happened. Look, we're a nonprofit organization and we're going to be organizing protests and marches and stuff, and we're going to use your son or your daughter's likeness because we want to bring this message home. We're going to give you X% of whatever we raise. That's kind of a tactless conversation to have once in the beginning stages, when somebody's still suffering from the loss. And granted, you never stop suffering, but in the beginning, it might be a little too difficult to have that conversation. But I do think that by way of a lesson learned for some of these organizations, if you are going to use somebody's likeness, there should be something that goes back to the family. Family first, and then in lieu of that, at the family's discretion, some kind of other community-based organization to directly positively impact their community. And if you agree about a percentage of that early on, then you get rid of this negativity after the fact, because that money is still coming in.
You know, I think Black Lives Matter movement has the opportunity to make a real impact in this country with that money. Now, I know they gave away 20-some million last year to different organizations and stuff, but I still think they have the opportunity to make a difference in the community by doing positive stuff that uplifts the community, you know, teaching, tutoring, scholarships, things of that nature. They could really make a big difference. I think they start doing some of those things. I think people will actually continue to give to them. You know, long as they have a track record, you know. That
and support local level people of color or any minority group that are running for office, whose platform and ideals match what they're trying to accomplish. I have no problem with that. You know, we've said time and time again in a number of shows, we need more people running. And one of the problems they have is a lack of financial backing. So if rather than simply going for the good old boy network They start on the grassroots level to get their local sheriff elected, to get their council people elected, etc. I think that would be seen as something that is beneficial to the community as well, if they're getting the right people in office.
Okay, we're almost at the end, but I want to end on fun though. Get your thoughts about this. I know Tony will probably discuss it on her show tomorrow night or another show.
Uh-oh.
Did you hear about Derek Jackson, who's a relationship guru? Did you hear about his story?
It's funny because just before the show started, I got the invite for the Truth Brothers show, and I've watched him. It's been a long time. I haven't seen him online in a while, but there was a period. There was a period where I was seeing a lot of his stuff, and I would say a goodly portion of the time I agreed with what he was saying. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I thought it was a stretch, and maybe it just a little more conformist than he thought he was being. But look, the man is not a saint. He's flesh and blood like anybody else.
Okay, but look, how are you going to talk to somebody about relationships and you are having an affair for the last 4 years, but you find...
See, I don't know the details.
I mean, no, his wife for 4 years he's had an affair on, okay? And he claimed that when he was involved with someone else, they were separated, okay? So, but it's just ironic, I find humor in it that a person who's really pushing relationships is now, he getting the backlash of doing something himself outside his marriage, and he's trying to tell people how to maintain their marriage. I just find it kind of hilarious, okay?
Well, look, I think most of the time when you get people who put themselves on this pedestal of moral righteousness or whatever, 9 times out of 10 something comes out of the closet, so it doesn't really surprise me. On the other hand, he's flesh and blood and he's human. He's not a saint, he's not the Pope. He's fallible just like everybody else. Now I think how he responds to this will be very telling on whether or not he has a future in being the guru he set himself up to be.
Oh, no, that's gone. That's gone.
If he mans up.
Well, he did man up.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I had never heard of this guy until yesterday. I had never heard of him. That was my first time hearing of him. I kept hearing everybody say David Jackson, whatever his name. Derek Jackson. I said, what's up? So I had to Google and find out. I fell out laughing. I was rolling on the floor. But the thing about it could make him more money. Who knows? I mean,
hey, look, if Falwell could come back after that whole Jessica Starr debacle and all of those other priests can come back and say, I've sinned, then he can come back from this too. But I think it really depends on how forthright and honest he is.
Yeah, it's
in his mea culpa.
So, it's funny. This craziness is going on in this world. Yeah,
he can come back from that before Stacey Dash can come back from her mea culpa.
Yeah. I can't wait to see Candace Owens' new talk show. I just want to see what she's gonna be talking about.
No, I can't even. They gave her a platform just sickening. If she can stay in the mix, it would not surprise me if they try to nurture her into some political role. I think she actually made a comment about running for presidency or some nonsense like that. And I was just like, Jesus, no.
But she's going to do you watch, in about 5 years, she's going to do a Stacey Dash in about 5 years. And she's going to have, it ain't going to be a come to Jesus meeting either. I don't know what kind of meeting it's going to be, but she's going to do a Stacey Dash anyway. Because see, Stacey Dash underestimated what they would do to her. They dumped her and they put the foot on her neck and said, look, hey, we don't want you no more. Stay away from us. That's why she's coming home. Trying to come home anyway. She won't be at the cookout this summer, that's for sure.
I don't know what's Candace is free-based all of that nonsense. It's going to be a long time in coming.
Look, let me tell you something.
Tell me something, Reggie. Tell me.
If I decided to change my personality and become the mean black man. Okay, hate everything black folks do. Hate being black. Just hate everything. Okay, and hook up with a Republican consultant. I'll be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Even though I would know deep down inside, I probably run to the bank laughing. People be cussing me out and say, "Gosh, one time he was a good guy. Now look what he's doing now." I still would be running to the bank laughing. Okay. A lot of times I think someone like Candace, her ideas probably flow as conservatives and stuff, but her picking with people and always instigating stuff, I think it's just all about money.
Of course, yeah. She's just
All
a more
about
polished. She's just a more polished cubic and zirconia, or diamond and silk, or whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all she is.
Yeah.
And she's riding this wave as long as it'll take her. She committed full on. But we'll see what happens when her son grows up.
I want to know what happens when she goes to her family cookouts. What her parents say, what people her family say, friends say they went to college with her. I want what they say about her. If I say she crazy,
Well, she was anti-Trump for a long time before, she went all Manchurian candidate on us and flipped the script.
Yeah, but look, what better way to stay in the limelight than to get on board get on that train?
Yeah.
Look at Diamond and Silk. Diamond and Silk learned a hard lesson. The first time they made an out-of-the-way comment, what happened? Fox dumped. Kicked them to the curb. Oh, they just love that.
Yeah, well, I think they were just a little too... Yeah, 100%. 100%. They're just...
Yeah, when they said something that's going to hurt the brand dropped them fast.
Yeah. Well, Candace has stepped in it a couple of times, so I'm sure she'll do it again.
Oh yeah. They can keep her, okay? They can keep her. But I think one day when she retires or whatever, and she grows old, she's gonna sit back and look at these days that she can't get back. How she put herself down and put her people down to make a dollar. To make a dollar.
Yeah.
I mean, she was, and if you look at slavery, she was the house Negro. Okay, she worked in the house, doing the sewing, taking care of the white man's kids and things of that nature. That's her style. Now she'd be the one. If she heard something down in the field, she'll run and tell the master.
You saw that movie on I don't remember if it was on Prime or Netflix. I think it was called The Black Messiah.
I haven't seen it yet. I've got to see it.
It was very well done, but there was this one character that you see after the movie is over, and he's the guy who poisoned the fella so that he would be out of it when the racists broke into the office and shot everybody while they were sleeping or whatever. And after the documentary, he killed himself because it was the first time that he had admitted his role in that. And that's what, for some reason, that just makes me think of Candace. That she's going to ride this wave for as long as she can, and sometime down the road she's going to realize that she was a Judas to herself, to her son, to her family, and what that's going to do to her if she can't get off that roller coaster now. But I see we're getting flagged by Tony. Tony, do you have any comments for tonight's show?
She got something to say. She always got something.
Oh yeah, she got that special glint in her eye.
Serious? Serious?
You know what she looks like tonight? Gosh, Lord have mercy. Black exploitation.
Angela Davis. What?
No, Angela Davis. Who's the other lady in the Black exploitation?
Foxy Brown.
Yeah, Foxy Brown.
Wow.
Yep, you got that Foxy Brown.
No, I think it was a good show. Really interesting. You guys nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah.
For moments.
Yeah, you had a good moment tonight. That's a good thing. No, but all we can do is sit back and watch and wait and see what's going to happen with everything that's going on. So Truth Brothers is chiming in. He said it's Foxy Brown.
Yeah, Foxy Brown. Yeah, Foxy Brown.
Thank you, Michael Campbell. He said Jim Scott or Jill.
No, I think he was trying to name. I think he was trying to give a name for the
Jill
gentleman?
Scott. You do favor Jill Scott tonight too.
Okay, I'll take it.
Because she's golden.
I know. Live my life like it's golden.
That's right.
Oh my God, the great show. Thank you, Michael. He did correct himself. He said Jill. Thank you. Because I am far from being a man.
Yes.
Oh boy.
But yeah, great show. Great show, great information. And like I said, it's going to be a while before I think the things are going to get back to what we know as normal. I don't know that, speaking of gun laws and in reference to these latest shootings, I don't think that we are going to see anything anytime soon.
No, just more domestic terrorism. That I definitely do see that. Mm.
Yeah. And I do see that there is going to be quite a bit of pushback when we talk about reforming some of the gun laws by the Republicans. I think that they're going to give a lot of pushback, because the NRA is basically, they're in each other's pockets.
Mm-hmm.
So, those are the things that we have to look at when we talk about reform and the NRA.
Tabitha, we're on Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern time. She just Tabitha Johnson just asked when we're on, so I was telling her.
Oh, there she is. I would like to tune in more often. Thank you, Tabitha. I would hope so.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. So, I thought I had the scroll on with the times on there, Miss Tabitha, but let me go back and put it up as we're closing out. So you can always find Real World News right here on Facebook every Tuesday night. The show starts always at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 Central, and 8:30 on the East Coast. Make sure that you follow them so that you can get updates and also notifications of the shows that are upcoming. Even if you want to send show ideas, you can do so by sending a message. So you can always do that. We want to talk about what you want to talk about as well in the news. But tomorrow night, we're going to do something a little calm.
What? I know we're not talking about that creepy spider plant behind you. It's creepy. It is creepy AF.
I like it. I like it. But
It's
tomorrow
moving.
night, good. It's coming after you, right through the screen. But tomorrow night, we are doing something a little different. We're getting away from the normal relationships and love and sex talk and all of that on Hot Topics Talk Radio, because it's something that I think everyone can relate to. Aging.
Oh, God, no.
Not for the faint of heart.
Hate it.
Not at all. You haven't even reached the point where me and Reggie and Yvonne are.
I'll always be behind you, so you can't complain about that. That's
So
not my
youngin,
fault.
how old are you, youngin?
I'm 50.
I know. As he gets up on the screen to see.
Yeah.
51 in July.
She's a baby.
Yeah, you're a little baby.
She's a baby.
You still got baby milk behind your ears, girl.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about.
I still have all my hair.
Whatever.
Give yourself another 5 years.
Oh yeah.
It's only going to get better, baby.
You be
It's
putting
only going to get
sprinkles in your
better.
hair. Look, you be putting sprinkles in your hair.
I would not look good bald. I have too many dents. I'm sorry. I have too many dents.
But that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow night is aging. It's not for the faint of heart. It's surprising how at this age, now we find ourselves, more in that relaxed mode, right? Mm-hmm. But we find ourselves in conversations that relate to ailments, aches, and pains, and medications we're on.
Every one of our conversations starts that way.
How well do I know? Yeah.
It's so unjust. Just when we learn how to have fun and use the tools we have, we're too tired to do anything about it. It's
Right.
unjust. It's unjust.
It is painful. It is painful getting up in the morning. I tell you. Oh, have mercy.
Oh my God. So Chris is on, and he said basically they're telling you that, hold on, Jack, let me get back to the comment for you. But Chris says they basically said that you're still a spring chicken, Chara.
Yeah, maybe one left in the back fridge for the last, 50 years with the freezer burn, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll take it, Look, some of my peers have not aged very well, so I'm not ungrateful.
Exactly.
I am not ungrateful, but it sucks.
I look at some that I think, wow. All I want to do is just say, wow, because I don't want to be mean.
Knock on wood, knock on wood, moisturize,
Exactly. And Jacqueline says, why do you think we are babies? LOL.
I guess because we're still full of piss and vinegar. I don't know.
That ain't got nothing to do with it. You wait till you get my age and try to get out of bed in the morning. You're gonna be like bones cracking.
Everything cracks. Everything cracks.
Wait till
I got a permanent club foot. I got a permanent cankle. Okay.
Oh,
it's not right.
Anything yet. That's mild.
Oh no, the rest is not for public consumption. Okay, we keep that to ourselves.
Well, you come back on my show tomorrow, you get it all. We tell everything.
I'm gonna wear shades and a wig.
We do not hold back. So tomorrow night on Hot Topics Talk Radio, aging not for the faint of heart. The show starts at 7:00 p.m. Pacific, 9 Central, 10 on the East Coast. Make sure that you come on back right here on Facebook under Hot Topics Talk Radio. That's with me and Yvonne Baker. So again, great job, you guys. I appreciate you. Love you both. And until next week on Tuesday, we will see you back here soon. I'm trying to get down the banners, as always, as we try and get out of here. It never works out for me.
Take that plant with you.
All right, everybody. Hope you have a good night. Thanks again for tuning in to Real World News TV with Chara and Tappin and Reggie Kearney. We'll see you guys back here soon. Good night, everybody.